Alright, so now we're going to move on to the keyboard and show you some of the basic keys that you'll be using the most as far as playing Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction. And just as I stated in the earlier video, the tab key is your mini-map, okay? The shift key is to stand still and cast in whichever direction using your mouse, because this is a point-and-click game. We don't have the WASD or the WASD functions on this one. We do have the mouse usage, and on your mouse you'll use both your right click, left click, and your scroll, and you can actually click your scroll button to bring up your mini map. There's many different ways to set these up and to remember how to use these keys. Now, on your C key, that is your character or your stats as far as your strength, dexterity, and your vitality. You can hit your S key for skills. You can hit your I button for your inventory, and your 1, 2, 3, and 4 button are for your potions, however you have them set up. Now, I would suggest once you get multiple rows in your belt on your 1, 2, 3, 4 key to set up, and the way I have it, you don't have to do this. I have my first 2 rows set up as health pots. My 3rd row is usually my rejuves, and my 4th one is for my mana potions, all right, or mana pots. Now, eventually, once you get to hell level and you get up into higher and higher levels and you start finding more and more rejuves, I would suggest trying to go with full rejuvenations, or maybe a row of health pots and 3 rows of rejuves, because those can get you out of a pinch, especially if you're doing solo runs or MF runs for Magic Find or whatever. But that's what 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the way I usually have my hand set up on this is I'll just rest my hand up here automatically with my index finger on number 1. That's just how I play. Alright, and then I can toggle through and hit my tab key for my mini-map. Spacebar closes everything, whether it be your message log or your mini-map or whatever. I always just use my thumb there. And my F1 keys and all that, I usually set up the hotkeys on the F functions all the way up to number 8. I did check that out for everybody. And you can eventually, if you have a scroll mouse, scroll through them once you assign the keys. And how you do that is down where I showed you where you actually have the skill that's highlighted. You click on it and then put your pointer over it and assign each one. Now be careful how you assign these in the order in which you're going to use them. For instance, for like a paladin, you'll have your holy shield probably at number 1. Conviction, depending on what, I'm just thinking of a Hammerden. Not conviction. Concentration on number 2. Probably like redemption on 3. Teleport on 4, and so on. So however you have it set up, just set it up to where it makes sense, to where when you scroll, you actually have the spell or skill that you want to have come up on the little skill thing down there. Alright, so that's what your F keys are for. And that can come in really handy, and it's actually sometimes faster to use these, especially like if you have a barbarian with like battle command, shout, and battle orders. I always just hit the keys because I can go boom, 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 you know, and then hit the right click to actually use the skill. And that's how you'll use it on your right side. Just remember, how you're looking at it at the screen is how it's actually going to be used. Right on the right click, left on the left click. Alright, so there you go. And I believe that's pretty much the basics. Now, one of the keys that you can remove, just to make it simple, if you want to, is the Windows button. Because when you hit your Alt key, that's another one, that's going to highlight all the items that the monsters have dropped on the ground. And I'm all the time using that one. I'm all the time using the Shift. Pretty much Alt, Shift, and Tab are your 3 most important ones to remember, because that's going to show you everything. What's on the ground, standing still, fighting, and hitting your tab for your mini-map, and the space bar, of course, clears everything. Now, your message log is going to be M, so just think about what it is that you're doing, and that's pretty much what the beginning letter is going to be. Inventory I, message log M, C for your character, S for your skills, and so on and so forth. They pretty much, back in the day, made it dummy-proof as far as playing the game. So just play around with it on the keyboard, and that is pretty much all I can show you. Over here on your number pad, you do have little, if you hit the numbers, it'll say different things in the game, but people usually just do that just to be funny and don't really use them for anything but. Alright, and what else can I show you on here? I think that's about it. Like I said, escape goes to your main menu. Enter, when you're in a game, you can hit enter, type in a message. And some of the commands you use, like when you're on Battle.net, and we'll get into that further, are, if you type in /help, that'll actually give you whatever commands you want to do. And it'll list all of them up there as far as adding characters or adding accounts, adding to the friends list, and whatever. Alright? So there's a basic rundown of the keyboard, and if I went too fast for you, I'm sorry, but I'm just going off of memory because all this, to me, is automatic, alright? So me, I usually have my left hand resting, index finger on the potion button, and I just toggle through. I don't know exactly what fingers to use on what, but, there you go. That's what she said. Yeah. We'll end it there and move on to the next part. Alright, before we move on to the next part, I want to explain to everybody out there, the reason I'm doing these starter guides are for the hundreds and hundreds of messages that I get on a weekly basis for those that are just now getting Diablo 2. You may not have a clue on how it works, and just like a lot of us, we like to just jump straight into the game and get to playing. We don't like reading strategy guides and user guides and reading the options, but this is one of those games where even though for those of us who have played it for a long time, it seems simple, for some people it's kind of hard because there's so many different keys, so many different configurations of which you can choose. And that's one reason I wanted to go back to the basics and show everybody just how to get started. Now, hopefully later on I'll be able to get a lot of people in, maybe up to 7 other people, maybe in a Skype conference, go to Battle.net, show you how to do some rushes, give you some ins and outs, some pointers, some MF pointers, and I might even fraps it and put it in a video. If we do that, just understand, if you follow along and just follow the instructions, it's going to make the gameplay so much more enjoyable, and you'll learn so much, not only from myself, but we might even have some other experienced players in the chat on Battle.net, of course, not on Skype, because there's a couple of people that just don't use it. Alright? But we'll learn so much, and so will you. And that's about it. I'm going to end it there, and we'll move on to the next vid.